I am more excited to talk about this topic than I have been to talk about anything I have made a video on so far. We're going to talk about how to find your perfect food budget. How much money should you be spending on food per month? Your answer, not my answer, not the internet's answer, not a statistic for where you live or somewhere you don't even live or anything like that. The right number for your life. My own journey with knowing my food budget is why I care so much. It caused me so much of a struggle, shame, frustration, feeling like I was constantly failing when I had a grocery budget number, but it wasn't the right number for my life. And so for the last decade, having a thought through, strategic number has been an absolute game changer. I am Kezia from the Whole Home blog, Instagram, and here, and I always say that my goal on the internet is to make lower footprint living a little bit easier, a little less judgy, and a bit more budget friendly. And I've done so many videos talking about food budgeting and how we stick to our budget and what we eat through the week. But here's the thing. Unless we know what our food budget is, we don't know what we're trying to stick to. But even more than that, we can pick a number. There are averages, there are national averages. But if we just kind of pick a number of what we think we should be spending or what other people are spending, we won't really believe in that number because we don't really know how it fits within the rest of our life. We don't really know what happens if we spend more or what could happen if we spent less. So it's kind of this slightly arbitrary number. I had one of them. I know what that's like. What we have to do is look at our grocery budget in light of all our other spending and our income. So I'm going to really practically take you through the incredibly simple spreadsheet that we use to figure out where our food spending should be. Now, I realize to go from what should we be spending on food to let's look at all the numbers of everything in our lives can be so intimidating and unknown and scary. We don't then have to budget the whole of life. But if we can just once take a look at income and see how our food spending can fit within that, it will give us a number that makes sense and that we believe in, and we know what it would affect to spend more or what power it would give us to spend less and all those things, which will mean we believe in the number that we end up with, and that is what is so key. So if you have a partner that you do your budget with, I would schedule some kind of date. We do it with a drink and sit down and really take a happy moment that we try and make happy to not have it cause anxiety as we come into this, because relationally it can be a tough one to talk through different values and different ways that we would spend money. So we both kind of approach it in a good mood with a drink, make it a happy moment and sit down and look at all the numbers. And we have to come in with a bit of being giving and understanding that we're going to be different and a bit of being willing to have flexibility. But with that, I'm going to grab my laptop and we can look at the exact way that we do this. What this is going to do is it's going to let you, in a very simple way, look at your income, and we'll talk about flexible income, and begin to look at how different things fit and show you your priorities. And that will help you know where your food budget is in terms of other things. And it will also then give you the power if you make your food budget and then you think, oh no, we need a bit more. You can go back to this and go, where are we going to pull it from? So what we're going to do is pull up a spreadsheet. This could be Excel or it could be a Google Sheets, any spreadsheet. We're going to start by putting some categories in one column. So I'm going to put spend categories. And then in the next column, we're going to put our budget goal. Now we can add a third column that can be really helpful, which is a percentage of our total spend. That will help us see how much of our income, how much of our monthly spend we're spending on one thing, and it can just be helpful to know, and also helpful if you're navigating this with somebody else to see, whoa, okay, when I see that percentage, that feels really high. Can we talk about that? And it can be a really great tool for navigating budgeting with someone else. So then we're going to go down a number of rows. We can always add some, so it doesn't matter too much. And we're going to put our total income. Now, we have a varied income. If you don't have a varied income, you can just put your monthly income in here. So we'll put in 2,000 a month, whatever currency, it doesn't matter. if you have a variable income, this is where we are. What we do is look at the lowest amount. There's different ways you can do this. This is just what we do. Look at the lowest amount or the amount that we know that we will bring in, and we budget for that amount. Then we have another budget that's if we make a bit more. So we know where our priorities are. Okay, we've got our most important needs met with the lowest that we'll make. Then if we make a bit more, here's where that goes. And if we make a bit more, here's where that goes. And that's kind of pre-agreed so that when money comes in, it's easy, it's simple. Okay, so we're then going to make another row at the bottom that is our total spend. Now, next to the total spend, we're going to do a formula. If you're not used to formulas, don't worry, it's very simple. We're going to put in here equals sum, open brackets, and then all of the little individual budgets. We'll hold the shift key so that we get something that looks like that. Okay, right now it's 0 because we have no budget goals. Now, in the percentage total spend, this one's a little bit more tricky and you do not need this column, but we're going to put equals sum, open brackets, then we're going to take our budget goal for that particular category divided by our total spend, close brackets. Now, right now it's showing because it doesn't have numbers in it. Then we're going to make it a percentage. So we're going to go format, number, and percent. So it's going to show up as a percent once we have some numbers in here. So let's start with, and I like to start with the most important categories. And we won't do this whole thing. It's just to give you an idea. So we're going to start with rent. So say our rent is $800 a month. Again, there's no currency here. It's just the concept. And right now we can see rent is 100% of our spend. You can see that in there. Now, we want this 100% to be applicable to all the budget goals. So we're actually going to change this slightly and we're going to put a $sign before both the B and the 21. Now we can drag and drop that the whole way down here for all the individual budgets. So we've got rent. Now we can say, okay, what else do we have that's fixed that we can't really change? Utilities. Maybe that is 200. There we go. Okay, now what else do we have in here? We've maybe got a phone. That's something in here. And we've got transport. These kind of fixed costs that are in there. What you can see is down here at the bottom, we're seeing our total spend and we're seeing our total income. So we're basically going to put in all of our spending so that our total spend equals our total income. So we can go through and add some other things. We maybe got clothes and we want to spend $300 a month on clothes. And then we've got going out and we want to spend $100 going out, and we want to spend some money on gifts for our friends, and we want to spend some money on some classes that we take, and that's going to be $100 as well. And then, oh, we get to our food budget. Go, okay, I want to spend $400 a month on food, and oh, suddenly our total spend is bigger than our total income. So what we now get to do is go back, and obviously this is going to be more complex. So what we want to do is, if we have annual costs, we want to try and take them, divide them by 12 so that every month we are putting money away so that when we hit that annual cost, it's not taking all of our monthly income and throwing our budget off so we don't have money for the other things that month. So to actually build this out will take a little bit of work. We're going to go through, we're going to look at annual costs, we're going to look at, savings and so many other categories. It is worth doing, I promise, and it can be adjusted, but it's a great framework to start with. So we can see we've got to food and we can't afford to spend that much on food. So what we now get to do is go, oh, if I would like to spend that much money on food, what do I need to do? Okay, I need to spend less on classes. Spouse, partner, person I budget with. Are we good spending less on classes? No, we're not. Ooh, okay. How are we going to fix that? Are we going to come down on food or are we going to come down on something else? What are we going to do with these numbers to make them all add up to where we need to be? Okay. Oh, wait, going out. Okay, we can pull some from going out. We value having our food budget a little bit higher than going out. Okay, so we'll pull down that budget. If we pull down the going out budget to 50, okay, we're still a little bit over with that grocery budget. Okay, we can pull the grocery budget down a little bit. Let's try. We want to keep everything else where it is, or we have to. Okay, We need to pull that down to $3.30. Now we have a balanced budget. And so we can also then use this to go through and look at percentages and go, okay, 5% of our income on classes. Ooh, I would rather be saving 5%. We've got no savings in here. If we put 5% of our income to savings, that would feel way better than classes. Is there something else we can, there's so many great conversations that can come from this. And again, that percentages column is so unnecessary, but it can be a really great tool for conversation. Now we have a number for food that makes sense within our wider spending. And you're probably going to make mistakes. If this is the first time you've done something like this, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to go, oh, we forgot something, and we can adjust and we can add it in, and it will be a process. You can keep revisiting this. You may go, okay, we need to sit down periodically and look at this, or I need to sit down periodically and look at this and juggle it around. But when we can put all those numbers in on the spreadsheet, what it lets us do is actually have the power to adjust our food budget and know what happens. What I find talking to people about food budgeting is that so often people have picked a budget they think they should spend, but they don't actually know what happens. That actually, if we go back to this, if we overspend on food, oh, now I actually can't pay my rent. I'm going to have to put something on a credit card. I don't want to do that. Suddenly, we're really motivated to stick to our food budget. We believe in it. It makes it so much easier to adjust how we eat. Eating is emotional. We don't want to change how we eat or get rid of less expensive meals if they're important to us. But when we can see those figures in relation to our whole budget, it makes it so much easier to go, okay, wait, but I value being able to pay my mortgage or my rent more than I value certain meals. We can pit things against each other in a way that we can't do if we don't have these numbers on paper in front of us. It also means that as different phases of life change, it's really easy to see if we can have more money in the food budget or if something else needs to change. So many people say to me, when your kids get older, what are you going to do? Ultimately, if that total income number stays the same, I have two options. I can either adjust what's happening in different budgets so that I can put more into food, or I have to be more efficient with what is in that food budget. But it's a lot easier to do that if I can see all the numbers out in front of me. I can go, okay, my kids are eating more. I value feeding them, good food and enough food and letting them have some choice more than I value that amount of money to spend on clothes. Or maybe they're earning some money now. They can take on that budget. We can put that money into food, but we have that power to actually know the cause and effect of different food spending. For my personality, at least, this gives me so much freedom to spend. Once we did this, I stopped feeling shame about every dollar we spent on food because I didn't know what that dollar was causing. It was dollars back then. Was it the dollar that meant we couldn't save for something important? Was it the dollar that meant we then weren't going to be able to afford to buy Christmas presents? Was it the dollar that meant we couldn't do a fun date night? I didn't know what the dollars meant. So once I had this down, I knew, okay, if I can stick to this amount per month, I know it's okay. Everything else is taken care of. I can feel the freedom to spend this much. Now, there's then how we stay within our food budget. That is part 2 of the video, and you can watch all my other what we ate in a weeks and how we meal plan and all of those things to see some of how we do that on what is a lower than average UK budget, which still really surprises me that what we spend is less than that. But anyway, there's then that whole piece, but the first piece has got to be having a number that we believe in, and this is how we get to that. Stay tuned for part 2, where we're gonna look at some Q&As, some tips for how we can stick within this number. I will load that here when it is up. And if you wanna see a practical what we buy and what we eat in a week, and my mic cut out, but if you wanna stick around, this is a playlist with all the videos on what we spend on food, how we shop, and what we eat in a week to stay on budget.